Joey Gonzalez, it's good to see you, man. And thank you for coming to this podcast when you could have chose any of the other ones in the market. How are you?
I'm good, Justin. Thank you for having me.
I want to start with the fact that you are probably one of the only CEOs I've seen. I saw you on Instagram right before this, but
Uh,
you're one of the only CEOs I've seen who manages to look great, well kept, happy, and like living your best life while operating something as big as Berries.
yeah.
How?
I mean, it's not that hard when your job is actually working out, right? I mean, there really is no more efficient workout than berries. And so I was actually just telling somebody last night, I've been doing berries 5 days a week since I was 26. So for 16 or 17 years.
And it's just like a consistent thing for you. You've
Yeah.
never, yeah. And that's the good
Yeah,
thing about berries. I feel like it's full body all the time.
and when you have that level of commitment, you sort of practice discipline in the other areas of your life as well. So
Yeah.
nutrition and work, it all sort of just bleeds together.
Isn't that nice? Have you ever asked yourself the question of like whether or not your job has turned into a lifestyle all these years?
Um,
Meaning, can you look at your job now and be like, that is a part of my life as opposed to just a job?
yeah, I mean, that's whenever people ask how I balance everything. I always say that there is no such thing as balance. There's just integration. And my, life, work life, personal life, there aren't any boundaries. My closest friends are my employees.
Mm.
I'm at Barry's working out all the time. Like I bring my kids there. It's just a huge part of my life.
I love that. You know why I love that? Because I feel like a lot of people right now, anybody listening, we'll get to fitness and wellness, so hang tight for just a minute. But because that's like really what we want from Joe. I feel like you have a lot of knowledge and insight for everything related to fitness and wellness. But before that, I think everybody looks at themselves nowadays and they're having to separate work and life. But in your world of like fitness or wellness or nutrition, like you look at any chef, for instance, who happens to own a restaurant, you're living your best life. You look at anybody who's a trainer and then that's what they really want to do. They're lucky they can pay rent doing that. Eric Wilson, hope you're listening. So like it's so cool in your worlds that that's a thing. But tell us a little bit about the story, because I feel like the origin of Joey Gonzalez is not just the CEO today. You've been Barry's for your entire career. So when you first started, can you take us back and kind of walk us through how you were able to position yourself in the company? I don't know if you were a desk boy at first, for instance, but like how did you position yourself to then now be at a CEO of Barry's?
Yeah. So I started first as a client and I was completely obsessed. First, actually very nervous about trying it. It took me like 2 years to actually work up the courage. And even then, the only reason I went is because somebody I was dating was like, let's meet at Barry's. And I didn't want to look like a wimp. And,
Perfect date
all
spot.
right. So I just did it. And my first time, I just fell in love. It just was not at all what I had built it up in my mind to be. And I actually found everybody to be super friendly. And the workout was, our first words to people are like, don't be a hero. Like you did the
Mm,
hardest part showing up, like do as much as you can.
yeah.
And we're just here to support you. So I fell in love with it as a client, and did all but like beg Barry for a job, which
Yeah.
he finally asked if I wanted to be an instructor. So that was my first experience at Barry's. And I knew as soon as I sort of put on that headset and taught my first class, I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And so I actually quit my job and got a job in management at like a big box gym, because I wanted to be prepared and have a resume to eventually, start to manage the Barry's business, which luckily I was able to do. So,
Mm.
I've managed, taught, cleaned toilets, answered phones, done it all since 2003, 2004. And I think that's given me, the context and the perspective to be a very certain type of leader for the organization,
Mm.
to have, empathy and understanding of what it takes to make the magic.
Even if that means you're scrubbing toilets. I did the same at Chick-fil-A. I remember there was a time that I used to ask myself, I was like, I'm cleaning the toilets and then I have to then go make chicken sandwiches for people. This is college. but you get it. Like you just get it when you see everything that happens behind and in front of those doors,
Yeah.
you know? And for you at Barry's, that's the same.
Yeah.
I'd say congrats, but you've been in such a great place in your life. So I think it's too late to say congratulations, but I'll say it,
Well,
dude.
thank
Like you seem very happy. And that's why when I first saw you on social, or when I first heard about you after meeting one of your trainers in New York City, that is very admirable to look at someone and be like, that's a CEO that's happy, who's worked his way to get to that point, who everybody that knows and speaks of you does it in a way that's like loving and in such high respect. But you've taken a lot of time to do that. You know what I mean? And so as you, especially in these big cities where Barry's is more of like a social, I mean, you said you were you went on a date, your first engagement with Barry's. I
Yeah.
was, friends in the industry. We all go and have fun and stuff. So it's like, it is very social and there's like a community building aspect to it too. What does that mean to you as the CEO when you do see people like hanging out, becoming friends, Melanie and I going all the time together now? Like isn't that nice to see that like people are becoming friends and dating each other, getting married from berries?
Yeah. I mean, I'm one of those people. I actually met my partner in class. And it's sort of become the social club for our
Yeah.
generation. And I think the thing that I love is that it's changed focus from going out to dinner and drinks to meeting at class, right, and burning 1,000 calories and having a protein shake at the fuel bar. And the fuel bar was
Yeah.
actually, to your point, the reason why I sort of added that to the business when I opened Barry's in Chelsea was to create this sort of third space for people to hang out. You
Mm-hmm.
know, obviously we wanted to check the box of like providing nutrition and that we were effectively able to do, but most importantly it gave our clients a reason to stay a little bit longer and hang out. And all of our fuel bars now, and our studios, like, by the way, just keep getting bigger and bigger. Our Barry's Denver is massive and there's so much space. I feel like people are just going to move in.
Right. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder too, that's the reason I bring up community is because a lot of people are still hesitant to like continue working out and stuff. So here's where here's where some of my real questions come, because I really want to know from like your perspective as someone who owns and operates and in the world of like seeing things come to life with other people's wellness and fitness. There's got to be some encouragement aspect to it as well for those who don't necessarily want to work out or want to socialize while working out, for example. Why would you encourage them to do so?
I mean, there's really something for everyone there. You don't have to socialize. Barry's is the kind of place where it's very dimly lit.
Mm,
It's a nice red lighting situation that looks great on your body. You can completely disappear into the red room, and you can have total anonymity. You don't have to show up for a social hour at Barry's. There are plenty of people who come in, do the work, and leave.
mm,
So I think there really is something for everyone. I
yeah.
think there's someone who is intimidated by this idea of it being hyper social. You don't really need to, that it doesn't have to be that for you.
Yeah, it could be either or. I mean, you
Yeah.
mentioned you go and have been going 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard. I
Yeah.
try to work out like 7, but I'm not doing berries 5 days a week. That's
Yeah.
hard, Joey. Wait, so for people who aren't working out right now, I will attest and say that like if you want to look like Joey, you should work out 5 days a week, no matter what the workout is. So let's go back to like, Barry's being kind of that overarching umbrella of like how you were able to consistently work out. But in general, fitness, I think there's still some misconceptions around people treating it like a hobby or a lifestyle or a task. You know what I mean? When people look at it and they're working out, and for instance, someone's like, oh, it feels like a chore or like a task to do.
Yeah.
Uh, how do you get out? How would you recommend getting out of that mindset from like chore task to more of like lifestyle, but like, yeah, I love doing this stuff now?
You have to find something that you love. There's so many different types of fitness. There's the Barry's experience, obviously. There's dance, there's yoga. You have to keep trying things until you find something that you love and that you actually enjoy. I love working out.
Mm,
um, but I didn't grow up an athlete. It's
yeah.
something that I discovered later in life. And I think the other piece that's helpful is like, to try and find a partner or a friend that can keep you motivated and incentivized. Have somebody that like will show up for you, whether it's like in the park at 8 a.m. or, at a boutique fitness class. That's super helpful because it adds a layer of accountability.
Yeah. I just got done working out with my buddy in Dumbo, and it's fun sometimes to be able to mix and match the
Yeah.
different types of workouts or activities that you're doing. Are you working out in the mornings, midday, evenings? I mean, do you kind of have it regimented in that sense? And why is it that way for you?
I'm definitely mornings, but like a little bit later because I drop my kids off at school. And then I usually take class like right around either 8 or 9 a.m. hour.
And then you find it most beneficial for you to do mornings?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can really work out at any time. It's just what works for you, what's convenient, what you can commit to, and what you think you'll actually be able to do on a regular basis.
One hundo, dude. I gotta compliment your background. What are those? Hexagons?
Oh,
It's nice.
I don't know. It's not mine, but yeah, it does look
Oh,
like hexagon. I believe it's art.
art.
Yeah.
We love art. Joey,
Yeah.
can you give us a story? And the cool thing about podcasting is like you can give a short story, you can give a long story, you can give a midway, like schmedium. Have you heard the term schmedium?
Of course.
I'm a schmedium. I don't know if you. I think most people are actually schmediums.
I'm a medium. Definitely. Top and bottom.
Same.
Yeah.
And it still will never fit. It depends on what the thing is, right?
Yeah.
The material it's made out of or whatever. Story time. Would you
Okay.
say that there's like a really significant story from your time at Barry's, either personal experience or someone you've seen that made you really proud to be to now be the CEO?
Um, so Barry's is a very mission, vision, values driven company. And our vision statement is to transform lives worldwide. And that's the piece that like hooked me because it did change my life. And a story that is, I think, one of my favorite is um, Barry's changed my life, but the first time I got to see it change someone else's was when my best friend wanted to lose weight. And so I helped her. This is when I had first started as an instructor.
Mm.
And she dropped, 35 pounds or something like that in 6 to 8 weeks. And it was obviously like, she was really happy with the results, right? And how she looked.
Mm-hmm.
This was a person who hated working out, like going for a walk was exercise to her. And on the other side of this transformation,
Yeah.
she fell in love with working out, nutrition, fitness. And now, 16 years later, she's still a Barry's trainer, which is just so amazing to have had that
Dope.
experience at the very front end of my tenure, to really get to see how not just Barry's could transform my life, but how I could help transform other people's lives. That's what hooked me.
Yeah. What do you think that pivotal turning point was that you probably saw in her or yourself where you thought or saw her think, damn, like I'm starting to love working out for these reasons, or it makes me feel this way, so I want to keep doing it? The reason I ask is because you just don't know until you keep doing it. And the
Yeah.
fact that walking was exercise to her is, first, it doesn't sound like a New Yorker, but I'll say that in general, it's like that's how a lot of people look at exercise. But what was the pivotal moment, do you think?
I think that one of the things that's very cool about Barry's is that you're lifting half the class and then you're running the other half. At least in our traditional, Red Room experience. We have other modalities, which we can get into later, but it's really easy to sort of benchmark your success, and your sprints will start maybe, a 7 or 8 mile an hour, and they will grow and get faster and higher. And, all of a sudden you're sprinting in double digits, 10, 11, 12 miles an hour, now 15 miles an hour. You get to watch yourself get faster. And then on the floor, you get to watch yourself get stronger. And I think what is the turning point is when people start to see that they can actually do what they thought was impossible. And that I've seen spill into people's lives, not just in the Red Room and in their workout, but also in their personal and professional lives.
That's the magic.
Yeah.
The magic, the magic touch.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I should have a wand. Maybe that background behind you, I would do something with that, with the wand, invisible wand I got.
There's a lot going on behind me.
I love it. I'm trying to figure out like, and you got like a lot of lights up top too. It's okay. Listen, like you said, it's not yours, so like it doesn't really. It's not an attack to like you and how you design your home. Whoever designed that, it looks good. It's Men's Health Month,
Mhm.
and we're the Men of the Hour podcast. And I was like, gosh, there's no better alignment than to ask Joey Gonzalez to come on the show right now in the month of June 2021. But then I start to think part of being healthy is also being happy, and a lot of people don't look at it through that lens. But in order to like achieve a daily happiness or like a daily dose of happiness, you got to be in the right mental state, be taking care of your body with the right foods, releasing endorphins at a workout, sweating your ass off to like just get, the energy flows going. There's a lot of components to it. How would you define a healthy and happy lifestyle for you?
Um, I think um, I tend to be hard on myself. And through meditation, I've been able to sort of work on my thought world,
Mm,
the voice inside you that says like, you're not good enough. You don't look good enough, or you're not, satisfied professionally or with your career or your relationship or the kind of parent you are. And when you can kind of get control of that voice, and start to develop a mantra around like, I'm enough, I am enough. Um, that to me is what health means.
mm.
Um, it's just, I think, feeling satisfied, happy, and that you're enough.
And then it starts with the mind.
The thought
Some
world.
people say the
Yeah.
thought world, it really does. How do you like, are you practicing meditation on the daily?
Yeah.
Is it like top of morning for you before you
I
get
do
to
it in
do
the
anything?
morning. Yeah.
Right. I think that's a lot for a lot of people, even just to get your head in the right space to like do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
You're a busy man though. So as a busy man with this calendar that is probably booked before you even know it's booked, before you look at your day, take the kids to school and then do your workout. Uh, can you walk us through your thought process on how you model your days? I'll give you an example. So for me, I journal every morning for about 5 minutes when I'm drinking coffee, doing like a light meditation, for instance. And then by the time I look at my day, I'm already canceling things that I don't feel like should be on that day or sending out notes about things that I feel like could be moved. Or so I really look at the day from like 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., like whatever that might be. But is that something you practice? And if so, why?
Um, yeah. I mean, I start my mornings, like I said, with meditation, which sort of helps set me, like when I can't do it, when my kids wake up before me and
Yeah.
I meditate, I notice a difference, in just my behaviors and how I am throughout the day. So it's really important for me to start my day that way. Then, we all sit down with breakfast. Like I said, I take them to school, I do my workout,
Yeah.
and I'm usually booked solid through the day in various meetings. And I'll definitely have, like you were saying, um, prioritization exercises, right? Like I'll have to like not show up to 2 p.m. meeting because something else, takes priority. But for the most part, I stick with that schedule. And I have now sort of, because my days get so packed with meetings, I've now started to just like build into my days times when I'm not, bookable,
Yeah.
otherwise I'm just literally in meetings all day long, which
That's
can get really tedious because a lot of this stuff is just regurgitated from a meeting I had last week. Um,
mm,
so
not this one.
no, this is
These aren't,
fresh. This is fresh content.
it's not regurgitated, man. We're making
No,
history. Our producer Paul had got on the call right before this and was like, "You ready to make history today? You're making history, man. This is the first pod like this that will air on all platforms and never go anywhere for eternity." How does that make you feel?
really special.
Dude, you are special. I think that there's a lot to be said in general about health, and you brought up mental health. It's a well-rounded thing. But then, like, don't we all want to live a very long life as well? Um, have you ever had that conversation with maybe your partner or your kid? I mean, I don't know if you would have that conversation with your kids so early, like you need to live till you're a very long, but if you've ever had the conversation about living a long life, how did that conversation go? And then how does it play into your daily now? I ask you because I have some thoughts on like living till I'm 150.
Um, so I actually have my grandma now is 93. My grandfather just passed away at 95.
Mm,
My dad's mom lived to 106. So I have some pretty impressive longevity genes. And so I expect, you never know, but I expect to be around for a while. And I am always shocked when I meet people who don't exercise or who
yeah.
don't have fitness in their lives, because it's literally the only thing proven to help you feel better, look better, and live longer. Right? I mean, it helps reduce the risk of so many different chronic conditions like type 2 diabetes and heart disease and all different types of cancer and depression and anxiety and dementia. And it's literally the most available preventative option from a healthcare perspective. So, that's kind of how I view my life.
I,
And I'm
yeah.
hoping that this commitment I've made to fitness keeps me nice and healthy,
That's
for
all you
long.
needed to say. I don't think people hear that enough. Like you're right. It's one of the only things where you can just do it, sweat, and it's like, so what? You're gonna smell a little bad after, and then, but it keeps you alive. I'm sure
Mhm.
your grandparents, living as old as they did and are, they probably go on walks all the time or like to exercise to some extent, or maybe played tennis or golf or whatever that might be. And it also keeps your like mind active for long times too, for a
Yep.
long time, which is insane. Because then you think about it, it's like we got one shot at this thing, right?
Yeah.
And have fun while doing it, right? Have a great career, live your life. But ultimately, like if you can incorporate fitness into that, like you almost feel like a superstar if like you've worked out in the morning, taking your kids to school, did the breakfast thing, got on your meetings, had a good lunch, took a meeting while walking. Like you have a good day when you incorporate physical activity
So
into
true.
it.
Yeah.
And then have you? I don't know how you're socializing lately, and all of us are doing it differently. But when you are socializing with people in a physical environment lately, you mentioned dinner and drink. That's like
Mm.
such a New York thing. Like, hey, let's go to a rooftop. Hey, let's go to like Soho Grand or whatever, like loungy. I've started asking a lot of my friends if we can do experiences together. So I was like, don't fancy me up on a text message to hang out if you're not willing to like golf, or if you don't want to go like to Chelsea Piers Gymnastics. You know what I mean? Or we could even do a park, but like that's fine. Like let's get outside if it's nice. Are you doing the same with your social circle, for example? Like just trying to have more experiences relative to physical activity?
Yep. Especially being in a new city. We moved here to Miami in November, and I have a lot of family and friends, and have it's been so fun. But it's like a mini adventure,
Yeah.
and we find fun things to do all the time. Like most recently this weekend, rented jet skis with the kids and just went all around the city and saw the bay, and it's so fun to have new experiences, and to be able to share that with two mini humans, is really cool. And we're actually spending most of this summer traveling, because it's this
Yeah.
weird sort of work from home environment, I think, until the fall for us.
Yeah.
And since we can work remotely, I want them to have and experience as many different places and things as possible.
It's the best way to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was a military brat. So like my family in the Air Force only cared to travel. Do the
Yeah.
same with your kids and you are, which is fantastic. And I think like don't I just don't know how many dinners and drinks we're going to remember when we're old, right? And we can't move around as much. So like why don't you go on boats and take your friends to play tennis, or like let's go golfing, or let's take the car upstate and go hiking. Like those are the experiences that I think are worth like actually getting to know people in your life, because it's all relative to physical health, which like we said is going down that line of living a longer life as well. Back to the daily note, when you're living your life on the daily, by the daily, is there
Mm-hmm.
one thing that you'll never give up besides meditation in the morning, that is like something you have to do every single day to keep up with your physical or mental health?
Um,
for you?
I mean, other than exercise,
Yeah.
I don't think so. Nothing comes to mind.
Because I wonder, I feel like if once you've got a schedule working out and
Mhm.
you take your kids to school and do all these things, there's, and then again, outside of meditation, is there anything else you feel like if I don't do this every single day, then like I'm not on track with your day?
No,
Then
that's
you're
it.
living a good life.
Yeah. I mean, those are the things that I'm a simple man. The meditation, the exercise, I'm set.
Why? Hey, but that's a good another talking point because I feel like as a simple man, you're probably also like a minimalist to some extent. Maybe those usually go hand in hand. Have you always been that way?
um, yeah, I would say yeah.
I wonder too. I feel like a lot of times the more busier you get, or the more that you're like having to juggle family and work and life and travel and stuff, you want to keep things super simple. And so I could imagine, like, I think something a long time ago was like Steve Jobs has only so many colors of t-shirts, but they're all pretty much the same. And and I'm just like, just as an example, but like I think that's the life after so long, even in New York City, where you were here for so long too.
Mhm.
And just like keeping it simple so that you don't really have to think too much outside of what you're wearing and where you're going to eat and the types of foods that you're eating. Would you agree?
100%. Yeah. And I think it's, my mom used to always tell me the busier you are, the more efficient you are. And didn't totally buy into it until I became a parent. And now it just is, it's so crazy how much more efficient I am with my time, and how
Yeah.
much less time I waste because I just
Times,
don't have that luxury.
well, yeah, and then you don't realize until you're busier and time is becoming more important by the minute.
Right.
I heard a long time ago that time is your most expensive currency, and
Yeah.
that's true. But like we all look at time very different now, which is why I'm sure you're waking up as early as you need to, and then staying up as late as you need to as well.
Yep.
Um, Yeah, back to the misconceptions really quickly on fitness, because I can only imagine how many people are thinking to themselves like, "All right,
Mhm.
yeah, y'all talked about fitness and physical health, but I'm still sitting on the couch." So I get it, right? I think all of us have been at that point. You and I are active people, but do you think there are still misconceptions around fitness in general?
Yes. I think generally speaking, a lot of people, specifically, I think women feel like if they lift heavy, they're going to bulk up. And so, they'll grab 3 5 pound weights, which is just, not going to get the results that people are generally looking for when they're in the
Mm,
physique building phase of their lives. And then I would say more specific to berries, there's this sort of misconception that like people have to get fit to come to berries. And that's not true. We used to have the cast, Jillian and Bob Harper from The Biggest Loser would bring, all of their contestants to berries and they'd like crush it, and these
yeah,
were people who just discovered fitness for the first time. And like I said earlier, the whole sort of attitude at berries is like, don't be a hero, do as well as you can. You know what I mean?
mm.
So, people who tell me like I have to start working out and getting fit to go to berries, I'm always just like, just show up. You can do that here.
And you said this earlier, but over time you'll get better at whatever the workouts are. You'll take your sprint. Whatever it might be. We did it. I tried 12.5 and I was like almost running off. Eric looked at me, he's like, dude, you like almost fell off that damn treadmill. But you'll want to push yourself in those environments too,
Yeah.
and that's the beauty
Yeah.
to fitness. I think if you look at it as, again, a chore or a task, I don't think you'll ever want to compete with yourself, you
Right.
know, because it's like you said, showing up is part of it. And then the other part is like continuing to show up as early as you need to or as late as you need to in the days, but then realizing that you're seeing progress too.
Right.
But so then on progress, I wonder, have you started seeing a trend in the people that come in more often, and then also how they look and feel, and has any of that been told to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an instructor still, right? So I'm on the front lines and I'm constantly building relationships and training people. So I get to hear about all different kinds of client journeys. I would say the most traditional physical reaction to the berries workout is just getting really lean and cut. And so if that's your thing, if that's what you're looking for, that there isn't a more efficient way to do it that I've discovered in the past 20 years.
Yeah. And I think that that's like people's goal, especially when you're looking at like summer bod, or what do they say? Like hot girl summer, hot guy summer. And you
Yeah.
just want to look good before you put on your trunks and bikini,
Yep.
and then to hit up a place like Barry's. When I first heard of Barry's, my first class was right when I met Melanie and Eric. Seriously.
Oh, wow.
I had never been. I'd been to some fitness classes before, but I've always been a fan of doing workouts like on my own or with the trainer, with friends, full body, just like having fun. Because I was a cheerleader, so I never really wanted to like gain muscle, look a certain way. But after
Yeah.
you get done with sports, like I was tennis and cheerleading, you start realizing that the only way you're going to actually like see results for yourself is by consistently building up the weight or going to Barry's this many times to like get trimmed up and stuff, and that's like the beauty of these classes. When people are deciding whether or not they want to continue coming to a Barry's boot camp, because it's like not just a group fitness class for the social aspect, like you said, you can do it without being that social, but just like signing up for something like this as opposed to going to a regular gym, would you say that there's reasons why you should do this type of training as opposed to going in a gym and just like following a little plan with weights?
Yeah. I mean, it's all about efficiency and how hard you're going to push yourself. When you're in a Barry's class, you have someone to the right of you, to the left of you, and they're doing it, right? Let's say it's like a 2-minute curl or whatever,
Yeah.
happens to be. Your threshold and your, failure, I think, is way beyond what you would do by yourself at the gym. And one thing that I've actually always found really interesting, but makes sense because I was the guy who only ever worked out in the gym by myself. People love, like, that archetype of person actually loves the Barry's workout. Barry's is kind of like the anti-class boutique fitness experience. And I don't know why, but a lot of people who either work out at the gym or have a personal trainer come to Barry's and they're like, this is the best. Like, I don't like group fitness, but I love this class. So that's been fun to kind of watch, people discover it. And I think part of it is most boutique fitness experiences have like the trainer on the stage and lighting, and it's like almost like a show.
Yeah.
It definitely has those elements, but we as the trainers kind of disappear in the background, and you are looking at yourself everywhere you go. So as you saw, there are mirrors when you're on the floor lifting. So you're watching your form, you're taking the cues. When you're on the treadmill, there's a mirror right in front of you. You're watching your form, you're taking our cues. So it's really about you versus you. And you can have whatever kind of experience you want.
Yeah, that's great. I loved it. I'll go back as long as Eric doesn't kick my ass. To you, I want to ask you about the growth of where you see yourself going in this fitness world, because, and don't catch me verbatim here, but at the beginning of this conversation, you said that when you first went to become a trainer at Barry's, that's how you knew you wanted to do that for the rest of your life. What did you mean by that? And then now that you're the CEO of something that you used to just be a trainer at, what more do you want to do with this company?
Well, what I meant was, I grew up in performing arts. I was an actor and, was in the union. By 13, I was doing film, TV, traveling throughout high school. And that's what brought me to Los Angeles, to USC. And that's what I studied. And I loved it. I was very passionate about it. And when I gave it up, I struggled. I tried a lot of different things. And it wasn't until I started to work at Barry's that I felt like I had found my passion and my purpose, even more so than I had felt with acting. And when you find that, I think you're just unstoppable. When you have that sort of drive, passion, commitment, and vision, that's really, I think, what it's, obviously you have to execute on the vision, but like to have that level of inspiration is really special. And a lot of people go their whole lives and never find even one job that they feel that way about. I took a lot of risks, like I did not play it safe, and I did a lot of different things. Sorry, what was your other question? You asked me
Wait,
about.
before I get to that, I want to know about berries. Listen, this is
Oh,
way better. Wait, I'll get to the question. I got you. I
okay,
got you. I
yeah,
got you. Because the other question is just the growth of berries, but
yes,
I think this will lead into that. You bring up a very valuable point I did not expect to be chatting with you about today, which is literally taking risk and then finding, but not knowing that you're about to find what you're good at and passionate about, and falling into it, quote unquote, really is kind of what happens. But it's a trial and error process. After
yep,
you decided not to act, then you found out fitness was going to be it. Part of what it did for you, but I'm sure what you see it doing for other people too. There's
hmm,
so much fucking value in that.
yeah,
I want you to elaborate on the risk taking part for a moment, because like
yeah.
what would you define as like those risks that you were taking? Like what were you doing, and what were you trial and erroring in order to get, to a berries, to that situation?
So everything that I did was about, I did like massage therapy. I was a real estate salesperson. I worked in hospitality and sales for a hotel chain. But everything that I did was never really about the money. And it was just trying to find a connection to um, my career and I
Mm.
like to call it purpose, right? Because I think your job should really be your life's purpose. In terms of risk taking, um, that's risky because like I would try something on and give up and quit. And a lot of people think it's not good to quit, but if it doesn't fit, like quit, you know what I mean? Move on. And so that in of itself, I think taking that approach to life is very risky. And when you're in your mid 20s and you're doing that, it's terrifying because you just have no idea, where your next paycheck's going to come from. Then once I actually joined Barry's as a partner, um, all I did was take on risk. Like
Mm.
I had, a piece of property that I leveraged completely to open Barry's New York City. And if that studio hadn't worked, I would have lost everything and been bankrupt. Like I have literally built my career on taking massive risks. Um, I spent 5 years living long distance with, in a relationship that was a big priority to me. And that's a big risk. Hey, honey, I'll see you in 5 years.
Oh my God.
And so all of, I would just say that the two things that have led me um, to where I am today in life are following my passion and taking risks.
And then you would say, do you believe in luck?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Yes. Because I think that there are people who would have worked just as hard, if not harder than me, who have way, more impressive capabilities that wouldn't end up here for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Success is when luck and preparation meet, right? That's like
Mm.
saying, and I truly believe that. I have been so blessed in my life with opportunity.
And you can feel blessed when you've put all your blood, sweat, and tears into something after
Mm-hmm.
having risked it all and maybe almost have lost it all too.
Yeah.
Damn. Deep. And because it's related to fitness, I just wanted to keep talking about it because I'm like, yeah, I mean, listen, I think people understand at this point, we're about 45 minutes into the conversation, why you need to work out. My friends, there are so many benefits to it. We talked about like living a longer life and, there's just, I can't go down a rabbit hole deep enough to talk about why physical and mental health are just at the forefront of living your best possible life. But then you brought up risk taking, and I was like, gosh, man, I don't think people take risks enough. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's a good or bad thing. You do whatever the hell you want to with your life as long as you're exercising, but risks are worth it.
Yeah. Well, it's fear.
Yeah.
Fear drives all bad things in life, and people don't take risks because they're scared,
Mm.
and there's reason to be scared. Taking risks is really scary. And sometimes it doesn't work out, and you have to fail. I always talk about the importance of failure.
Yeah.
And I'll do that in class as well, because that's actually how you succeed, right? You
100%.
fail like 50 times. And I love comparing it to muscle fibers, right? Because they actually physically fail in order to rebuild. And
Mm.
that's exactly how human beings are.
Yeah.
I like those sound effects, Justin.
Well, I don't have a little soundboard. I've seen some podcasts. Joey, listen, I see some podcasts where they have a little button player and there's like 10 buttons of sound effects, like like
I
all
think
this
you're
stuff.
doing just fine with yours.
You and I should go backwards. I'm going to go in the acting direction. I'm just going to leave this podcast now and I'm going to go try to be an actor since I got so many sound effects, dude. We're going to play questions of the hour in just a minute. But before we do that, I want to talk about the future of berries. How do you like, yeah, I don't think I would be a CEO. Maybe I would be. Maybe I'm already a CEO. Who knows? But as the person you are now as the CEO and as Joey Gonzalez that we all know and love, but like looking back to all those risks and when you found that moment that you were like, I'm doing this with the rest of my life, what would you like to see for berries going forward? Nothing like, I guess, timeline wise aside, like just like what do you really want with your experience out of berries, especially for other people?
um, I think the most exciting things for me as I look forward, and the things that, like, from a vision standpoint, I spend most of my time on are, number one, our sort of brand extension into other
Mm,
modalities. So we have, a new 50-minute class called Lift, which is literally just weightlifting for 50 minutes. And
mm,
we've rolled these out a lot during COVID because they were outdoor, and in a lot of markets we couldn't get our treadmills outdoor because that's, you can imagine how challenging that is. And this is a product that, people love because they either, do their cardio elsewhere. And another modality we launched is called Ride, which
mm,
is almost exactly like the original Barry's experience, but with bikes instead of treadmills.
yeah.
And what I love about the brand extension is being able to broaden the community and offer different products to different people.
Yeah.
Because there are now, like, opportunities for people to take and become a part of the community, to take class and become a part of the community. And they may have never come because they're not a runner, so that's been really exciting. And then
Yeah.
separately, our digital product, which we're launching next month, is super exciting. Again, I love this sort of notion that we can, and we have through our Berries at Home over the past year, connect with so many people around the world that, live in cities where there is no berries, and
Hmm.
have become, a really important part of our community. They show up every day, on these Zoom classes, and have built relationships with the trainers. And that's just it's so cool to see that.
Man, the future's bright, my friend. It sounds like. Isn't that a nice thing to hear? I'm sure you listen, I'm sure
Finally.
you've heard it across the board. I want your final thoughts on men's health overall. Like this month, especially if you're looking at like any month that's dedicated to any particular thing, there's reasons why. Why do you think, and I don't have the answer, but I want your thoughts on this. Why would you think that Men's Health Month exists, especially in 2021 right now?
um, why does it exist?
Yeah. Or why is it important to have a month dedicated to men's health?
I think, um, this isn't exclusive to men, but I think it's really important, um, for men. This sort of ties into what I said earlier about being enough, um, to prioritize taking care of themselves,
Mm.
and, practice sort of like love and kindness and compassion to oneself. I think men need to do a lot more of that.
Wow. You're right. Because I think there's like a lot of misconceptions around masculinity for one thing, and then just being the one with the pants on, or I think that's what I thought about for so long. I was like, gosh, there's a month dedicated to this thing. We can talk about fitness and health and wellness and food and whatever, mental health, masculinity and stuff. But you're right. Doesn't matter what type of like sexual orientation you're coming from, background, who your parents were, how they raised you. It's like you have to prioritize taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
One of which is if you go to berries, wherever you can find berries, you literally just type in berries with an apostrophe S and you go find it. That's part of it.
Yeah.
And you have to discover that. Final thoughts really quickly. and then we'll go play questions of the hour. I'm going to ask you 20 random questions. It's where we have really good time. Trust me. Final thoughts on how you discover what you love or what excites you about your life and or lifestyle. How, and besides risk taking and doing the trial and errors we just talked about, why would you say that's important for people to kind of like own the discovery of being on a journey with yourself and your health, and then kind of being able to free flow that enough to take the risks and to enjoy the days as they come, for instance?
Mm-hmm. I think because that's the whole, in my mind, that's the whole point of life, right?
Mm,
Is to have unique experiences that change and shape you.
mm,
And the only thing that's consistent ever is that everything changes, right?
mhm,
And I think it's really important, like I said earlier, like when you're on that journey, to just acknowledge when something's not working for you, because people get stuck really easily. I mean, the large majority of people are in jobs and doing things that aren't making them happy. And we literally get one life, right? We get to do this once. So,
One shot. Joey Gonzalez,
yeah.
you're the man of the hour. I'm going to just say it. Man of the hour. On the Men of the Hour podcast. Everybody listening, I want to thank you for being here. He's just spent the last almost hour with us. Listen, I don't think we've had an actual show, episode that is actually 1 hour. We've had a couple that have been man of the half hour, so at least you passed that mark. But thanks for spending some time with us on this episode, buddy.
Yeah.
Everybody, you can totally find Joey Gonzalez wherever you want to on social media, but he's also the CEO of Barry's, so go hit up Barry's and all the surrounding cities. So what cities can people find Barry's?
Oh gosh, we're in 14 countries around the world.
Stop. Wow.
Yeah. So
Anywhere.
we are almost everywhere, and if not, hopefully coming soon.
That's dope.
Yeah.
You guys can hit up Barry's and follow everybody on social media. You can follow Barry's and Joey Gonzalez. Thank you so much for listening. We're going to jump off right now and play a quick game of questions of the hour. You're only going to find it on social media and YouTube. So we'll see you guys later. Thanks again for tuning in.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Joey Gonzalez is joining me right now. He's the CEO of Barry's. Freaking amazing gym. It whooped my ass. And now I'm going to kick his with 20 random questions. Joey, are you ready?
Bring it on. I'm ready.
Questions of the hour, my favorite thing. All right, buddy. So the first question for you is, who was your childhood best friend and where are they now?
My childhood best friend was Eric Weber, and he lives in Chicago.
Oh, I hope he's tuning into this. Have you seen him recently?
I haven't. We actually reconnected a few months, maybe like a year ago, just through text.
Nice.
Yeah.
Next question for you. I want you to finish the sentence. One trait I'm proud I have inherited from my parents is?
Hardworking.
You are a hard worker. You're the CEO of Barry's. Who's one person you've gotten to have a conversation with that totally blew your mind besides me?
Richard Branson.
Nice. Do you believe in magic?
Can you elaborate?
I don't know.
Do I think a magician is actually doing? No.
Okay.
No.
Do you like watching magic tricks?
No.
Okay, fine. I was going to do a deck of card tricks that I don't really know how to do. Next question, Joey. Which best describes you, introvert or extrovert?
Extrovert.
Nice.
If I was an introvert, I'd be in big trouble.
Yeah, you're the CEO. Think of 3 people you've dated. What do they all have in common?
Optimism.
Solid. Name your top 3 travel destinations on your bucket list.
So places I have not been.
Yeah.
Fiji, Israel, and New Zealand.
Nice. Next one. There is a skill and there's talent. What's a natural talent you've always had?
I would say people skills.
That's important. What is the absolute best thing to do for you on a sunny day?
Get me some water.
Stay hydrated.
I get really hot very easily. You can see I've been drinking water this entire time.
We had an intermission right before this between the
I'm shocked
podcast.
I haven't peed yet. I'm a well-hydrated man.
We're about halfway through, so you can go pee right after this. The
Right.
year is 1983, my friend. You just found $10,000, no strings attached. What do you invest in?
Um, God, I mean, I have no idea. I guess, I mean, I would eventually invest in Apple,
I was gonna say,
right? Or Amazon, but I don't
or
think were they around back then?
well, knowing that they're around now, you could beat everybody to it,
Got it. Yes, yes. Okay.
right? Apple and yep. What's your ultimate last meal?
Chicken nachos.
Oh God, that sounds good.
I know.
Describe your idea. I need lunch. We need lunch after this. Describe your ideal home.
Um, ideal home, historic. I love 1920s, with some modern touches, new kitchens, bathrooms, etc. Comfy, open floor plan for the family, big yard, pool.
Solid. I'm moving in. Put a basement room down there. In the shower, do you wash your legs? It's on the
Yeah,
card.
I
Some people
do.
don't. A lot of people don't. I've
Hmm.
asked the question several times on the show, and a lot of people skip their legs.
I mean, if there's if I'm in a rush, that's probably the last priority. But I do wash them.
What are three crucial routines that you keep?
Meditation, exercise, and putting my kids to bed.
Proud man. How freaking cool. What's your favorite city in the world that you've been to? Describe it so well that I want to go.
Uh, oh God, I have so many different ones. I think the most impactful is actually Varanasi in India. Um, and it's on the river Ganges, and it's where they do all the cremations and burials. And it just was the most spiritual place I've ever been. I went back twice,
Whoa.
actually. It's just palpable. It's in the air, and it's a pretty incredible place.
I'd kind of want to go. And then you said cremation. I was like, oh shit, there's probably a lot of,
You
I
don't
don't
want to
know.
go
I
right
don't
now.
believe in
Yeah,
ghosts, though. I know. But
very, very sad.
hopefully that gets better. Just like all things, I think everything will get better over time. Optimism, back to those people that you dated. But it's a thing. People need to be optimistic right now. All right, a couple more questions. What's one social cause you care about?
LGBTQ families.
100%. What did the 12-year-old you want to be when you grew up at the time?
An actor, because that's what I was doing.
You were doing it. He was already
Yeah.
in movies and stuff so young. It's a gift. What was your favorite childhood game?
My favorite childhood game, Memory.
How do you play that?
It's like 20 cards face down, and you'll lift one, and it's like an owl. Then you lift another, and it's a chicken, and then you put them back down, and you got to keep matching. Yeah.
Wow. You were a very intellectual kid.
I loved that game, and oddly, I have the worst memory ever. So I don't know. It backfired.
What did you some justice back then, probably.
Maybe.
We got two more questions. We're electing a world president.
Okay.
Who from the past or present would you vote for?
I don't care as long as it's a woman.
Oh, solid. They get shit done.
Yeah.
Last question for it. Yeah. Last question for you. Finish the sentence. I know I finally made it when. I love that this is the last question, by the way.
When I'm happy.
When I'm happy. Well, I'm happy we just spent the last hour together. Joey Gonzalez, thank you for your time. This was Questions of the Hour. Everybody who's tuning in, thank you for being here. We just dropped his podcast on @Men of the Hour podcast. We hope you tune in. We hope you subscribe, rate, and review. Joey Gonzalez, thanks again, buddy.
Thanks. I'll see you later.